Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Thursday means it's Tier Thursday here in Instant Deck Tech land, and today we're heading to Standard to check out the newest tier deck in the format, and that is Red Deck Wins. Yes, Mono Red Aggro is back. If you remember our 2-tick red deck from Budget Magic, well, with some additions from Hour of Devastation, super similar decks are actually performing really well. So today we're going to be looking at a version of Red Deck Wins that took Jonathan Job to a top 8 finish at last weekend's SCG Standard Open. So congrats to Jonathan on his finish with the deck. A quick reminder before we break down Red Deck Wins for Standard. We're doing a worldwide booster box giveaway for Hour of Devastation, so if you want to enter that, make sure to follow the link in the description to get signed up. Good luck to everyone. I hope you win it. Anyway, let's talk our Red Deck Wins, and we start off with the 1-drops, and the basic idea of this deck is we want to be as aggressive as possible and kill our opponent as quickly as possible before they get a chance to recover. So we start off with Falcon Wrath Gorger and Soulscar Mage, just 1-drops that often attack for 2 mana. Falcon Wrath Gorger always attacking for 2. In our deck, it's basically a red Savannah Lions. The Madness ability, not really relevant. I guess it's theoretically possible you can construct a scenario where it's relevant, where I don't even know, play a Falcon Wrath Gorger, discard to hand size, and Madness of Falcon Wrath Gorger off of the discard to hand size. But we don't really have discard outlets. That's not part of our plan. We're not Vampire Tribal. Soulscar Mage gives us a weird upside where occasionally we can send a shock or a magma spray at a Thought-Knor Seer and trim it down a bit and have it be better than if it was just damage. But for the most part, it's just a Monastery Swift Spear that's lacking haste. The big thing about this deck is the creatures that make it so our opponent can't block with a specific creature. And these cards are super key. These are the cards that make this deck really scary. So first off, we have Earthshaker Khenra, which is the new addition from Hour of Devastation. And this is, I think, the biggest, or at least one of the biggest, additions for Red Deck Wins from Hour of Devastation. So 2 mana, you get a 2-1, it has haste. That's already pretty good for an aggressive red deck. You get in the damage right away. But the big deal is, when it enters the battlefield, you can make it so something with power equal or less than the Kenra's power, so 2 when it first enters the battlefield, can't block that turn. So you play your 1-drop, maybe your opponent has something on defense, then you play Earthshaker Khenra, make it so that creature can't block, you get him with your 1-drop, and the Earthshaker Khenra, since it has haste, those are big chunks of damage coming across. And then if the game goes long, we can Eternalize, get it back as a 4-4, which makes pretty much anything not block, or most things not block, and we have a hasty 4-4 for 6 mana. So hopefully most of the time, we're going to close out the game before it gets to the point where we have 6 lands. But the fact that when we flood out, we still have this threat that can win us the game is a really huge deal, because from playing 2-ticks red in similar decks, I can tell you that one of the easiest ways to lose with these decks is just to draw too many lands. You don't really have card advantage, you don't really have card filtering, and if you draw like 5, 6, 7 lands, your odds of winning normally goes way down. But the addition of Earthshaker Khenra, and another addition we'll talk about in a couple minutes, really helps solve that problem, which makes this deck much, much scarier. Before, you can win when you run well, but when you run badly, you're probably going to lose. With this addition, now you can win when you run well, of course, but also still have a chance of winning, even when you kind of draw poorly. And then, of course, we also have On-Crop Crasher, the original Creatures Can't Block. 3 mana, 3-2 with haste. If you exert it, a creature can't block that turn. So only every other turn can we make a creature not block, but still, like, think of the curves. 1-drop into Earthshaker Khenra, attack with our 1-drop and the Earthshaker Khenra. Then we play the On-Crop Crasher to make our opponent's creature on defense not block again, get in with everything. That's like 7 damage potentially on top of 4 on turn 2. That's already more than half of our opponent's life total. It doesn't take much with that curve to just kill our opponent with the rest of the cards in our deck. We also have a bunch more threats, and this build of Mono Red or Red Deck Wins actually goes a little bigger than some builds. So we have Karyzev Skyship Rider, which has improved a lot thanks to Earthshaker Khenra. So Karyzev, the problem with it is it's not very big. The monkey token's fairly easy to block, but a creature with menace is super hard to block with Earthshaker Khenra and On-Crop Crasher coming down to make our opponent's creatures unable to block. Hazaret the Fervent gives us a big finisher, takes advantage of the fact that we spend a lot of our cards pretty quickly and we're often empty-handed or close to it, and then it gives us a way to get in some direct damage. We can discard random cards that we draw to go right to our opponent's face if the board is gummed up. Glorybringer at the top of the curve to kind of shut the door close, coming in hastily in the air, shooting down a blocker, and then Chandra, just some card advantage, can kill a creature, can deal some direct damage, a little bit of everything. The other big addition from Hour of Devastation is the Desert package. And like Earthshaker Khenra, the big advantage of the deserts is they help us when things go poorly. They give us these lands that deal direct damage to our opponent, so now if we draw 5, 6, 7 lands, it can actually be a good thing because we can just sack them to Ramanop Ruins because we have 9 deserts in our deck, and we also get the direct damage from Sunscourge Desert. So really just a single copy of Ramanop Ruins with a single Sunscourge Desert, that adds up to 5 damage from just our land. So we were talking about the curve of 1 drop into Earthshaker Khenra into On-Crop Crasher, and how that's often like 11 damage coming across on turn 3. It doesn't take that much more incidental damage to get our opponent low enough that we just kill our opponent with the lands. Even if they wrath our board, put up defenses so we can't get through with our little creatures, our deserts can take care of that all on their own. Apart from the deserts, just 14 mountains. Since we're playing the deserts, we also get to play some Eldrazi, which are kind of just a free roll now. If you look back at our lands, we have 9 colorless mana sources. Most of them, or half of them almost, are also making red mana, so we can still cast our red spells, which means we get Eldrazi Obligator as kind of a threaten on a stick, Thought-Knor Seer, great against controlling type decks to steal a Wrath or something out of our opponent's hand, and then Reality Smasher is another big hasty threat to come down and just get in those last points of damage and close out the game. As far as the spells in the deck, we get 3 Incendiary Flows, 3 Magma Sprays. So Incendiary Flow, kind of a horrible lightning strike, but it's still a lightning strike, can still go directly to the face. Magma Spray's kind of a weird choice. I would probably play Shock here. And then we have, in our sideboard, a bunch more removal. Sweltering Suns to kind of sweep away the board. Magma Spray, Incendiary Flow for the early game. A Braid, we talked about on a previous Instant Deck Tech about how it's such a great sideboard card, because in one slot, it gives you something that kills a Winding Constrictor and also kills a Heart of Kirin, when before you need 2 different slots in 2 different cards to do the same thing. We also have Invigorated Rampage. Not exactly sure the plan for this. Obviously to push damage through over blockers, but I'm not sure the exact matchup. Maybe the white-blue Monument deck where it really gums up the board and it's kind of has a lot of blockers, but a lot of those blockers are 1/1, so if we can throw an Invigorated Rampage at our stuff, we can force through a ton of damage, even through the tokens. Then we have a bunch more resilient creatures. So one of the awesome parts about this deck, we saw some of the Eldrazi in the main, but we can actually just go big. If we don't think we can win on the aggro plan, we can just take out a lot of the 1-drops and bring in a lot bigger, harder to deal with stuff. Handwear Garrison makes a ton of tokens. Chandra, Resilient Planeswalker. Hazaret, Indestructible, hard to kill. Glorybringer for the air. And then even some more Eldrazi, another Thought-Knor Seer and Reality Smasher. So we can kind of sideboard from this aggressive red deck with a few Eldrazi on the top end to a full-on, like, red Eldrazi mid-range type deck. So it's really nice to have that flexibility and almost like a transformational sideboard plan where we can kind of catch our opponent by surprise. If they're bringing in a bunch of Magma Sprays and Shocks, thinking, oh, I got to deal with these Falkenrath Gorgers, we can counter that by bringing in all these really big things that make Magma Spray and Shock and that type of stuff look silly. Radiant Flames and those type of sweepers. So we play this kind of chess match guessing game of going back and forth. Anyway, that's red deck wins for Standard. And that's our Instant Deck Tech for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.